us all about you. Give us your background.
All right. Well, yes, my name is Megan. I am from Chicago, and I am 23 years old. So I grew up in Chicago, or born and raised in Chicago, and I've always been within like the arts. So I started off in dance when I was about 3 years old, and took that all the way through high school, mainly ballet, but some modern as well. Um, and I've always had interests in other creative spaces. So I was interested in fashion design, interested in interior design, painting, drawing, all of that stuff. I
Okay.
um, at school, at my high school, they had like an art track option. So I was on
Mm.
the art track when I was in high school. I went to Lane Tech, if anybody knows where that is. Um, but yeah, and then like the year after my freshman year, they like changed the whole curriculum. So I don't even think that was an option anymore, but it was still an
Oh.
option for the people who came in that space, if that makes sense. So um
Mhm.
yeah, but I was on the art track, so I did a lot of artistic things while I was there. And one of the things that I did, or my mother suggested to me, that I start thinking about, what I want to do as a career. And she suggested graphic design to me, and Lane Tech had graphic design classes offered. So I started taking classes my sophomore year of high school and took it all the way into my senior year. My teacher was amazing. Her name was Miss Diamond, and she was
Thank you, Miss Diamond.
exactly. So she definitely sparked my desire to be a graphic designer. And so then I went to the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana and got my degree in graphic design, and also a minor in communications and art history. And now I am currently a new business owner. I started my company, Mega Graphics Design LLC, and I am also still exploring other art forms. So I do photography, I model, kind of.
Okay. Wait a
I,
minute. How do you kind of model?
I mean, I I need to start. So I need to stop doing that and just claim the things that I do. But I do. I'm not. I guess I am a like model for myself, I guess you could say, and I post the work that I do. But
Okay.
I've had like maybe one or two opportunities outside of stuff that I've done, but I haven't gotten really into the modeling industry yet. So, but I plan to.
Well, Oprah models for herself, your neighbor in Chicago.
Oh, does she? I
she,
didn't know.
she models because she's appearing on every cover of her magazine
You're
except
right. That's true.
one today. So we can't minimize you modeling for yourself
You're
because
right. You're right.
the media mogul does it herself. So,
Well,
yeah.
but yeah, that's it. And singing too. I do sing, and I think that's pretty much it. I like have a couple other things that I like to do, but I wouldn't necessarily. Yeah, so that's me.
Oh, wow. You're a gem. You're
Oh,
a gem.
thank you.
Yeah. So, how do you, through your graphic design, go about spreading love, art, and your love for art? How do you approach that? Because that was a phrase that you had on, or you have on your website. So, how does that become a deliverable? What is your approach for that? Can you explain?
That is a good question.
Mhm.
I guess I can say that I am still developing how I do that. Um,
Okay.
I think that in general, like based off of like beginning, it's more so about customer service, but in the long run, I would want it to be like reflected in the actual work that I do. I think that collaboration is really important. And I think that it's what makes design really interesting. So I don't want it to be like, when it comes to the work that I do, I want it to be um, a, a collaboration between what I think is like, really cool, but then also I really want what whoever I'm working with, I want their ideas to be very prominent. And so I want it to be like a labor of love, if you will, so that it is real and not just for the sake of, making money or anything like that, but just for the sake of this person is getting joy from what I'm doing, and they're getting joy from they're getting joy from seeing their ideas become real. And
Hmm.
I want that moment, I guess, to be the most important moment in every design project that I
Cool. I get it. I'm following you. It
do.
makes sense to me. Now, you said bright colors make you happy, and as you will notice, we share that whole
Yeah.
thing. My favorite color is orange, and people buy me orange things. They just randomly see something orange and buy it, and then give it to me. So I get that. So, what projects have made you happy?
Hmm, okay. Um, well, I am currently in the process of trying to create more projects just for the sake of um, having more variety on my website, so like,
Mhm.
that it's known that I actively do stuff. Um, but I guess just in general, my favorite projects are the like projects on my website that are under like the personal section.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
those are my favorite because I feel like I connect more with them, but also because those are the projects in which I was able to just do whatever in a sense. My school was very research based, so a lot of
Mhm.
the things that we did were like trial and error and just trying to see like what works and what doesn't. Um, so we got a lot of projects that like they had I guess guidelines you could say, but they weren't like hard guidelines. They were just,
Mhm. Mhm.
create a project that uses type and image. That was literally one of my projects. And then, so we just were able to create based off of our imaginations and stuff like that. So the projects that are mostly based off of my imagination and mostly based off of my identity are the projects that I really like the most. And then there's also a project on my website for this organization that I was in called Word, and it's a poetry organization. But I felt like that was like my safe space during school.
Mhm.
Whenever I needed like a break from school and stuff like that. And so I was able to like bring that to the designs that I did for them as well. So like all of the designs that I did for Word were very much my designs. They like trusted me with the designs most of the time. So yeah, I don't know. They were just fun times.
And where were they used, in print, digital, or for
Yeah.
Word?
Yeah, it was mostly digital, mostly like on social media, but there were a few things that were printed. Like we had concerts every semester, so there were a couple of concerts that tickets were printed for. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, it varied, but mostly it was digital.
Okay. Cool. Cool. So, how do you find inspiration, let's say, for a work that is not in that realm of bright colors, happy spaces?
Mhm.
So, where do you go to find your inspiration?
Um, Inspiration right now comes a lot from like Instagram. Instagram is my favorite app right
Okay.
now. um, but yeah, Instagram and like Google in general, a lot of the inspiration also just comes from what people want. So like for the most part, so far I've been pretty lucky to have clients that basically know what they want. So
Mm,
um a lot of the inspiration is just like they're saying this is what they want, and then I am able to formulate that based off of my design perspective and based off of what they want to see happen. So um yeah, a lot of it I guess initially comes from their perspective, and then when it comes to like I guess my design process, I tend to gain inspiration from like Google, Behance, Instagram, stuff like that.
okay. All right. So, let me give you a scenario. All right. If you had a person let me see, who had 10 to 15 years experience in design,
Hmm.
what is something you would want to learn from them?
Hmm. Um, well, my first, I guess, question is this person just in design in general, or are they an entrepreneur or
They can be an entrepreneur.
okay. Um, I would like to know how to best, I guess, choose what projects to do because um,
Mm,
I know like eventually projects will start to pile up. And when that happens, it's like, how do you make the decision that this is a better project to do or a better project to take on right now versus, moving it back a couple months or something like that? Like, how do you schedule what you do?
so basically, you need help with project management.
Yeah, I could say that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now, if you were going to teach that same person something, because I believe that there are two sides to the
Hmm.
relationship,
Hmm.
and we can always learn from one another, right? So, if you were going to teach something, let's say to one of your teachers or this same person in this scenario, what do you think you would like to teach them?
Okay. Um, I think that I would like to teach them how to, or yeah, how to um, be an individual. And I say this because I think that business is something that is like a study, I guess you could say. And so it's like something like there's the steps there to
Hmm.
run a business. Um, but I think a lot of people get caught up in the business side of things and they don't necessarily allow their individuality to show through. So, like, instead of designing for projects that speak to your individual uh, strengths or you're like I feel like you should definitely grow and like get projects that aren't necessarily to your strengths, but I mean um I feel like sometimes people take projects on just for the sake of business and not for the sake of the collaboration, I guess you can say. So I don't know if that made
So,
sense.
so if I could recap what you said to make sure I understood you correctly, you think people need to be courageous about stepping outside of the box. There are steps to business,
Mm-hmm.
but there's also an individual who is running that business
Mm-hmm.
and being able to make the courageous decisions that allow for balance
Mm-hmm.
between these type of projects that basically pay the bills
Mm-hmm.
and those projects that bring you fulfillment and satisfaction in the work you do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yes.
perfect.
Okay. Okay. And that is, I would consider myself one of those people who would fall into the category of who you would teach.
Mm,
And that is something that we could definitely learn because pivoting is very essential to sustainability.
mhm.
And if we stay into this routine, the world is changing. We're seeing that now in the last year, this year. The
Yep.
world is changing. And if we're not authentic, many of the consumers and other people who are moving into middle management positions and things like that, they can see where a business lacks authenticity
Mhm.
and they ignore it. It's like it's over here. And that's what I get from the generation. And I have several different generations in of offspring. I have a 26-year-old, 22-year-old, and a 13-year-old.
Mm,
And that's the messaging that I hear across all three of them. No, I don't want to buy from them because there's something about them that's not authentic.
yeah.
And so we have to get out of our cookie cutter mode of
Mhm.
and showing a polished presence, because your expectation is not perfection, it's authenticity.
Yes.
All right. We learned a lot in this interview. So thank you so much for joining us. But I want everybody to see your website. So please give me your website.
Okay. Oh, right now. Oh,
Tell
sorry.
uh-huh.
It's Mega Graphics Design. I mean, Mega Graphics dot design. So MEGARAPHICS dot design.
All right. So we'll see you there. And please go and check out her portfolio, her work. It's bright, it's sunny, it's friendly, it's inspirational, and I think you'll enjoy viewing it. And also, Megan, make sure you reach out and contact people in the group so we can start collaborations and working on things that are outside the box and true to who we are.
Definitely. Thank you for this interview.
You are welcome. It's been a pleasure. Have a great one.
All right. Thank you. You too.